Hello and welcome back everyone. So today I thought I'd be rambling about Fairy Tail. You will have noticed that I didn't review 536, and here's why. I didn't really like the chapter and I felt like, it wasn't really worth my time. Well, that plus the fact that I was actually away yesterday, so I was kinda busy this weekend, but it was primarily because I didn't really feel like reviewing a chapter that shit, and of course I didn't want a negative review, like it would have been very biased and I would just have been ranting, and I didn't want to do that, so instead I just decided to skip that review altogether. Anyway, let's get into today's video. So we've had some pretty terrible chapters this arc as of recent, like I said 536 but also 535, then a few between 520 and 530, 519, well the list just goes on. But where did it all start to go wrong? To me, it started to go wrong when Universe 1 was caused by Eileen during her battle with Acnologia, because we had Gajil's death just before that, and her casting Universe 1 actually saved his life, causing that touching moment with Gajil and Levi to have no emotional effect whatsoever. That's probably one of the only things that was directly caused by Universe 1, but there were loads of things that went wrong after this as well, and this is kind of why I'm blaming Universe 1. Because before she used that, the arc was actually really enjoyable, at least for me it was. Acnologia's absence is something I can deal with because he was a rather powerful character that should be saved for the end, but it was also after Universe 1 that all of these fake deaths started to happen. We have of course Gajil's fake death, Juvia's fake death, Mira's fake death, arguably Natsu's fake death if we count his tumor. One of the better things that we got to see after Universe 1 was actually Natsu versus Grey, but even that was ruined at the end by having Erza step in. I know a lot of people also share this opinion. Then we of course get the extreme scale bullshit plot points in the arc, like Arcade losing to Sting, Erza winning against Eileen, well kinda winning against her dragon form anyway, and of course August fading away by seeing his mother during his fight with Gildarts. These moments were of course absolute shit, but chapter 536 reached a new fucking low, didn't it? Yeah, Acnologia getting smashed into the time-lapse by the Christina, and Natsu basically wiping out Zareth with the sucker punch of friendship. The one thing I can say about chapter 536 is that if anyone actually thought this chapter was good, something is seriously wrong with you. Okay, so before the time skip, when Natsu went to train, that is before the Avatar arc, things were supposedly better generally speaking. I mean, there are of course moments in every arc that aren't top-notch, but as a whole, there wasn't much to complain about in my opinion. I wasn't really a fan of the Tartarus arc. I mean, it's honestly one of my least favorite arcs. It looked pretty and all, but plot-wise it didn't really feel right to me. Obviously it's not as bad as Alvarez, but yeah. I really liked the days of Phantom Lore, the Battle of Fairy Tail and Edelus. Those were the days when it was still on a smaller scale, because Fairy Tail isn't a series that should end with a war, to be honest. Yet here we are. When adventure was still the theme of the series, that's what I want to remember Fairy Tail as. Do you remember when guild jobs were still relevant? Yeah, me neither. Okay, now let's touch on the topic of Fairy Tail's fanbase, because this is one of the things that I really don't like. The shippers aren't even the issues for me, or well, to some extent they are, but only the ones who love Nalu on a religious level. I don't even have a problem with people who just want to see them end up together at the end of the series, but when you're willing to sacrifice plot to see Nalu, that's when it's like, that's when it's crossing the line. Okay, let's move on because I really do not want to go deeper into the fan base question. Nakama power, friendship power, whatever you prefer to call it, it's a thing that exists in Fairy Tail and always has. However, in this arc it's become more or less a trump card in every battle it seems, or at least with Natsu, and that's something that I kinda don't like because I used to like Natsu a lot, but the second half of Alvarez is a time frame where I can no longer like Natsu on that level anymore. It just doesn't work. I mean, I still like Natsu visually, like his design is cool and all, but as a character he has dropped significantly, and it is a lot because of this friendship power. Now, as I said, it has always existed in the series, but it's usually not a thing to be considered a power-up, at least not on a major level. I think the first time this happened was actually on the Tenro Island when Erza fought Azuma, because somehow she defeated him, nobody knows how, but friendship basically. In all honesty, I don't think we've really had that on the same scale until Alvarez. I could be wrong, I mean I can't remember it all at the top of my head, but It's been used in smaller doses more or less in every arc, mostly by Natsu or Erza, but that's just how it is. I mean, we're used to these smaller doses, so we don't really care when that happens, but when it happens on the scale of Natsu versus Zverev or Erza versus Eileen, that is when it becomes a problem. When the Nakama power just becomes their main source of power, that is when, it's gone way too far. Alright, enough of that. Let's talk about the return of the anime, because I think a lot of people are hyped for that, and I am too. I mean, I don't really care that Alvarez is shit at this point. Seeing Avatar and Alvarez animated is something I will still be watching. I don't really know when the anime will return. I've heard rumors of September, but I don't really know if that's true. One can always hope, I guess. So speaking of the anime though, Alvarez, as we know, is in need of some repairs, and I've seen some people from time to time bring up the possibility of the anime possibly fixing some of these bigger problems in this arc. I do believe this could happen because we have seen the anime change things in the plot before, even if only a little bit, like replacing Grey with Lox to fight the Tempester in Tartaros. So I think it's very possible, given the negative feedback of Alvarez, that the anime will do their best to kind of fix the bullshit fights that we've had in this current arc. I don't think it can all be fixed. I mean, it still has to work with the plot, so if they do change it, the results of the fights must still remain the same. Like, we must have Larcade lose, Eileen lose, and even August lose. There is no way around that really, but the way in which it happens must be altered. Like, have Gildarts actually defeat August instead of having August commit suicide, because we did see that Gildarts found a way around August's magic, so that fight in particular wouldn't really need a big change, just a small one. As for Eileen, well, have Acnologia come in and stomp her down instead, because he's going to drop down next to them anyway a moment later, so to have him take her out wouldn't be a big deal. This is of course just my take on it. I mean, there are a number of ways that any of these fights could be fixed. I mean, I realize that Acnologia might not have been near them like before the Universe 1 was expelled, but he very well could be, you never know. The Natsu vs Zverev fight could be altered by simply extending their fights, however. Making it longer, that's something I can actually accept. It doesn't need to be changed all that much, just make it longer and enjoyable somehow, and that would be enough. Anyway, that will be it for today's video. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and if you did, please like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new to my channel. This has been your favorite host, Perm, and I will see you soon.